Hey, you guys. Sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties for sure. so, um, hope you guys are having a great Thanksgiving. Um, had some problems with my streaming, and then also on top of that, my laptop went dead. I'm sitting here in my Tom Jump chair. I got almost the same chair as Tom. Honestly, it's a Lazy Boy as well. It's pretty much the same color, same. It's the same suede. Um, I told Tom one day when we have another discussion, I'll do it in my T jump chair. Anyway, what's up to you guys who are in the chat? Um, Jordan, I see you. Tony, I seen you earlier as well. Um, I I'm having a lot of difficulties with this software with OBS. Um, but let me just say, you guys, I hope you're having a great Thanksgiving, and I wanted to um, make a short stream here to tell you guys some of the things that I'm thankful for. Um, a lot of times we don't think about the little things. We think about things like health a lot of times, but you know, I worked in construction, and people that know me know that I worked as a foreman of a construction company for a while, and just indoor plumbing. I mean, just to not have to walk 200 feet in like in winter outside to use the bathroom. I mean, it's crazy. Things like hand sanitizer and soap and heating, like central heating air and things like this. A lot of people take advantage of it. Um, Tony, welcome to the stream. Um, you know, there is a lot of there are a lot of things to be thankful about that we just take for granted every day. And I don't have to tell you guys this because I know you already know it. I want to see in the live chat some of the things you guys are thankful about or thankful for that I haven't considered. Because that's what I've been doing is I've been thinking what what because it seems like this around this day every year people start thinking about things they're actually thankful for, but I'm I'm like we need to not. I feel like our whole generation is just ingrateful about things. Um, I'm grateful for platforms like YouTube and things like this. Although sometimes YouTube does have kind of a skewed narrative, they have a problem with um, silencing some people when they don't like what's on there. But you know, the other thing I wanted to mention too was that um, not just things that help us today as far as like utility wise, indoor plumbing and heating and air and things like that. But just think about the Bible itself. It's there was a time where it was illegal to own a Bible. I know a lot of times we don't think about that, but it's 100% the case. And I know this camera on my laptop is terrible. I'm gonna get another camera. I just got my house under contract, and it should be selling within the next couple of weeks. I got an appraiser coming out on Monday to appraise it. I've already got an offer on it though, so um, I'm gonna take some of that money and uh, invest in some new equipment now that I'm back on YouTube. I got something good for you guys. Um, I got a debate coming up between uh, Praise I Am That I Am and Caleb from Dry Apologist. I'm sure you guys will probably know both of them. If you don't know, um, they're both good debaters. Um, and they will be debating on my channel Monday. It'll be a live stream Monday. I believe it's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if you guys are available on Monday, check that out. It's gonna be great because the topic. If you weren't in the um, so I had the Skylar Fiction Matt Slick after show on my channel the other night, and in the after show we were talking about all kind of topics, and Caleb, uh, the dry apologist, and Praise I Am That I Am were both in there, and um, they were both. We realized that we all three have different approaches to the answer of slavery in the Bible. And of course, I think my answer is the correct one, obviously. But they're going to debate Monday on what's the best approach to. And I'm sorry about the cartoons in the background. I'm spending Thanksgiving with my son and my dog. They're running around here and we're watching cartoons. But they're going to be debating on what's the best approach to answering the objection uh, of slavery in the Bible. Um, what's up to Andrew T? I see you, brother. What is up, my brother? um, let's see. And yeah, so that's interesting. You're like, Andrew says, "What's up to my brothers of African American descent? That includes you, converse." Of course, it does. First of all, um, everybody's DNA has some African in it. If you go far enough back, that's just a fact. But the other thing that a lot of people might not know about me, which is interesting, is years ago I wasn't a Christian. Um, I actually used to hang out with this group of guys that were black nationalists. It's interesting. You wouldn't think, viewing me now, but I kind of had like a little dialect slang to my talk, and you got to think I grew up in hip hop as playing in punk bands and skateboarding, and I was just kind of a punk man, and I loved hip hop, and so I was hanging out with these guys, and they would say all their black nationalist stuff, like I bought into a lot of it. And then when I got involved with the Bible, they kind of blended it. And so we almost had like an independent Black Hebrew Israelite group. But obviously, um, you know, the more I looked into it, though, the more they were like, "You're trying to break down stuff too scientifically, though. Don't worry about that." And that was whenever I got real skeptical, and I was like, hold on. What do you mean don't break things down into details? I mean, it's just ridiculous. So that's something funny that you guys may not know about me. But anyway, that's besides the point. What's up to you, Andrew T? Uh, glad you said it. Jordan, prisoners and prisoners of war. Okay, I see what you're saying. Um, 20 design prisoners aren't de facto slaves, although they are sometimes treated okay. And Jesse Peters, yeah, we're all African technically. You know, um, this stream I just wanted to kind of say, like, what are you guys thankful about? Because even although the things on my mind today have been things like indoor plumbing and heat and air, um, I'm thankful for a lot of things. I'm thankful for cell phones because I can recall when I was young. I'm not that old, but I'm 31, and I can recall when I was younger, not having cell phones. In fact, when I was in high school, I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a cell phone until, well, I guess my senior year, I had a cell phone, and maybe my junior year, but it was like an old flip phone that I didn't have internet on it. And it's interesting because I play guitar, and whenever I'm playing, like I'll have someone, like a younger person, I'll be playing around, and they'll be like, "Well, yeah, you probably watch YouTube." a ton, and I'm like, no, we didn't have internet. Like I didn't have internet in my home until I was in maybe 10th or 11th grade, and even then it was the slow dial-up internet with like a um, Windows 2000 or something like that. So we um, we just had I had to, and I tell these guys, no, we had to drive to the library to print out tabletry. We had to drive. We had to get our moms before we had our license. We had to get our moms to drive us to the library, or when we got cars, drive all the way to the library, and then pay like 10 cent a copy or something like that to print out 30 sheets of tabletry in order to play. So like I'm super thankful for the internet. Let's just to say the least. And I'm gonna get another camera though for this laptop so that I'm not looking so fuzzy. Um, let's see. My kidneys actually have African ancestry. Very funny. Bob, what's up, man? I haven't. I'm glad you joined us the other night. Brenda, hey, how you doing? I'm not not avoiding you. I will have another conversation with you. No problem at all. Um, Andrew Chi, anyone remember the razor? I think I actually got a razor upstairs. Um, one day on these live streams, I'll pull out. I've got a safe upstairs, and it's like one of those small little fire safes where I've kept every phone that I've ever had, and it's this little bitty flip phone, like my first phone, and then it's the one that it folds in half long ways like this, and you have like the number keyboard on the front, but when you flip it open, it actually has like a full keyboard. I don't remember what that was called. And then I got an Envy, and my smartphones start from like, you know, I've got like 8 smartphones or something like that upstairs. Right now, I'm rocking a iPhone 8. Um, uh, let's see. Uh, I love when I come to so-called Christian channel, I see anti-Semitism almost immediately. Where was that at? I didn't. Where'd you get that? The Jews have something where people outside your family can become part of the family. They call this slavery as well. Is that anti-Semitic? Where the Jews have something where people outside your family can become part of the family? They call this slavery as well. You know what? I'm not sure about that, but Um, let's see. I've never owned a cell phone and don't have one now. Wow, really, Brenda? You don't have a cell phone? That's interesting. Um, I mean, I'm trying to be more minimal. Instead of having a wallet, I now have like a wallet on the back of my phone. Especially when I work construction, I'm sitting on a beam like 10 stories up on a in an elevator shaft. And I'm sitting right on a thick wallet on one side. I seen this thing on Wish for $3 plus $3 shipping. Now it took like a month to get here from China. It was like every time I checked it, um it just got sent from Xingche Shu to Qingche Chou, and I'm like, and then it did that like 8 times, and then it finally said it made it to the U.S. and I was like, okay, it's only been a month so far. Let me see. When is it gonna get here? But anyway, it was worth it because this thing is awesome. It's like a case for your phone, but then it's also got the wallet on the back. Let's see here, and that's interesting, Brenda. I'm surprised. You were the coolest if you had the razor or the sidekick back in the day. Yes. Um. Also, I remember like I wasn't cool enough to own one. Like I had a beeper. I wasn't cool enough to own a Palm Pilot though. I don't think I had enough money because I think I was too young. But do you guys remember Palm Pilots? Those things are pretty awesome. Um, And wouldn't you guys like to see me and Tom Jump debate with this chair and his chair in the background? I'll probably just shave my head and like wear glasses. Well, I have to shave my beard too. That I don't think I would. I don't think I'd want to do that. for a debate. But considering I'm getting married this year, I'd like to keep the beard. I might trim it up though. Let's see. Where slavery has been mistranslated. Wait a second. Where was I at? Your assertion that modern Jews practice slavery. The word slavery has been mistranslated in the Old Testament in most cases. Okay. So, in case you just came in, the reason why that came up was I'm hosting a debate on Monday at 8 p.m. between Praise I Am That I Am and another Christian apologist, Caleb, the dry apologist. Be Monday at 8 p.m. It's going to be cool. Yes, Andrew T. Chair battle. Which his is a little different. He doesn't have like the 3-tiered. His has 4, I think. Like 4 of these little sections. But it's the same color and everything. So, um, I ask a Jewish rabbi. So, um, I don't know about that term. I thought the term was duplos, but that may be the Greek term instead of the Hebrew. I will see if I can contact Dr. Michael Heiser. He's my go-to as far as Near East. Battle of the Chairs, definitely. For a nuanced discussion of C. Digital Hammurabi. You know, Dr. Josh, he seems pretty fair sometimes, but I've definitely heard some things come from him that I wouldn't expect to come from a doctor. Well, let's just say that. But yeah, I'm sure he knows, being a Near East specialist. Let's see. I apologize if I jumped to a conclusion, but it seems very sketchy to me. Brenda, I agree with you. It's good, Brenda. I agree with you too. Yeah, so I can see why you might would say that. But that's what originally brought up that topic was I've got a debate on my channel on Monday on that topic. If you weren't in my so again, if you came in late, I hosted the after show for the Scholar Fiction versus Matt Slick debate. In the after show, we talked about that, and we realized that Caleb, Praise, and I all have 3 different approaches to answering slavery in the Bible topic. I think mine's the best, of course. But anyway, we'll see between them on Monday. Yeah, he's an Assyriologist. Yeah, I know that. But he minored in um, ancient Semitic languages, I think. Was he raised in the culture? It's good. The after show was fun. Yeah, appreciate you being there, Andrew. Here's the interesting thing. So a lot of people think that if you can't agree about every jot and tittle, then you can't have discussions or hang out or be in the same room as each other. One of the things that I'm thankful for today is having a Bible. I mentioned earlier, like there was a time where it was illegal to have a Bible, and while some people don't care, even if I was just like a literature, I was somebody that really liked literature. Like I'm pretty thankful to have a Bible around, um, but, and not be killed for it. There's a time when Nero lit his garden at night with burning Christians on stakes. So I'm not trying to say woe is me though, because I hear that sometimes on atheist shows, and they're just like when David Silverman was on the Magic Sandwich Show, and I trolled him whenever I came on. In that, I was listening to him, and he was like, "Yeah, check this out." And he walks to his closet, and he's got a bulletproof vest, and he's like, "We gotta be careful, us atheists. You know, we gotta be careful in the world." I'm like, "No, you gotta be careful because you done pissed off all the feminists. That's why you gotta be careful." I don't see atheists having bulletproof vests in their closet. That's just a. I was just saying like, boo hoo. Like I don't find that convincing at all. Like, what evidence is there that atheists might get shot on the streets in America for being an atheist? Like, it's just silly. So anyway, um, appreciate you guys being here. Um, I was away from YouTube for 4 or 5 years, so correct. Not every conversation has to be a debate. Sure, that makes total sense to me. Neither one of them stuck to the topic. Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. Skylar Slick debate was a dumpster fire. Yes. The side chat and the after show was great fun. It was, Tony. Thank you for modding that. Neither one of them stuck to the topic. Brenda, that's a good point. Um, I watched the um, pre-show on Skylar's channel, and I could tell by watching the pre-show that it wasn't going to be good because he was getting hyped up, and he was, no, I've been watching the videos from last time all day, and it was, obviously, I feel like um, they went in at an adversarial relationship, and when you do that, a lot of times you're basically admitting, hey, we're not gonna have a great conversation like ahead of time. I said this the other day in I think Tom Jump's stream. I appreciated when they both kind of came together at the end, and one of them was like, I lost a child due to miscarriage, and the other one was like, me too. And they both kind of built some rapport right there and kind of was like, yeah, I'm sorry for you. Oh, I'm sorry for you. And they showed a little compassion to each other. Then I thought now would be the time to have the conversation. Because I felt like they just came in how boxers do or MMA fighters, where your corner's been hyping you up for 6 hours, like before that. Like, dude, this guy, he's talking so much junk about you. Just wait till you get in there. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's a bad way to go about it. Let's see. Correct. Not every. Yeah. Yeah, I'm an agnostic, but I like studying the Bible. That's interesting, because I don't understand people who go, the Bible's for retards. It's just a stupid piece of work. Like, even if I wasn't a Christian, I would read it a lot and just be like, wow, this is amazing work. I mean, even if I don't agree with everything in it, which it's hard for any human to agree with everything in a book. Um, but also get a lot of, that book was written by humans. It's like, yeah, so was the science book you have under your arm. Like, you know, it it's just it's interesting to read, and the Bible's not just a book. It's a collection of letters and writings from, like, I don't remember, there 40 authors over 2,500 years, all separated. Like, the fact that it coheres how it does is amazing. Um, the conversation on the after show was really productive. Appreciate that, Jess. You're not a Christian, so to hear that come from you is refreshing. I've realized that um, there are factions of non-believers now. A lot of times when you're an outsider looking in, you kind of look and you go, okay, so here's the non-believers. It's Tom Jump, and it's Steve McRae, and it's Pine Creek, and it's and you group all of them together, and you're basically thinking all these guys are best friends. Like, they're all buddies. Dragnot and all these guys they're good friends, and it's interesting to see the dynamics there. How they don't agree on a lot of things because one thing can change their whole framework. So it they disagree with each other on something that can change their whole framework of view, like the term atheism or something like that. And I'm very interested by that. I feel like what's interesting is with some people that I listen to, I feel like an anthropologist when I'm around them because when I'm watching them, I'm just like studying like their train of thought. You know, it's like I see a lot of trolling on Christian streams and things like that, and I don't care about that at all. That's cool. But then when I go in and I start kind of trolling some atheist streams, they get all butthurt about it, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing, hanging out in my room trying to pick up followers?" I'm like, "Can't I just troll your stream in peace?" In fact, I'll just say something like, uh, "If you want me to stop, I'll just stop. Just tell me." Like, because they don't want to tell me that. Let's see. When has it been illegal to own a Bible? Not ever in the U.S. What are you talking about? Not in the U.S., but in the um, back in biblical time, like right after in the first, second centuries, there was a time when it was illegal. Hang on one sec for me. All right, sorry about that. So yeah, so there was time where you would be killed by um, some of the Jewish authorities or by Romans. No, not in the U.S. The U.S. You've always had the um, you've always had the different um, divisions of Christians, the Quakers and whatnot. But let's see, many of the atheists I know became so by reading the Bible. That may be true. It seems to me like a lot of atheists that I have talked to or have read about, they a lot of them seem to have went to Catholic schools, which I find interesting because as a child, and I I hear Joe Rogan, for example, talks about being in Catholic schools as a youngster, and that's that kind of makes sense to me why he kind of got out of it. I mean, in a way. I was listening to Tom Jump talk about he went to Catholic school when he was younger, and a lot of other people I've just heard. Um, and a lot of times, Catholicism gets conflated with Christianity. Like they'll talk about the Crusades and different things like that, and they're like, "Well, Christianity." But I think we need to separate Catholicism with Christianity, honestly. But I mean, you may be right, Tony. But you have to ask yourself, did they do that by having an honest interpretation? And if so, it may have just been their perspective. So I'm not saying that they're not wise enough, but I'm just saying, like a lot of times we'll have atheists say, "Well, in the Bible it says this," and then they'll make this grandiose point, and it's like, "Well, hang on a second. That's not the interpretation that over 2 billion people, buy into." So I don't. If you think yours is better, let's see. Jordan, did you watch Tom and Hugh Ross? I've seen some of it. I haven't got a chance to watch it all because I've been a little bit busy. But I did see the first part of it. Hugh Ross was looking a little bit worked. He was look. It's just interesting because I haven't seen him in quite a while. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind on some of these. Brenda, I think it means in biblical times. Yes, I do. Thanks, Andrew. There was no Bible in biblical times. There was in the first, second century. Correction, more ancient times. Yes, Brenda. When was that? When was the West? Okay, we weren't talking about the West. I just said there was a time. Matt Slick is kind of a jerk. I'm agnostic, but my mom's a Christian and she doesn't like him at all. That is interesting because he can be. Hang on one sec. You want to watch some cartoons? Okay. Sorry, I'm hanging with my son and my dog and watching some cartoons. So, um, but anyway, that's interesting. Your mom's a Christian, and she doesn't like Matt. Um, Matt Slick is He's an interesting guy, and I like him only in as far as he's being honest. Um, you're right. He can be a jerk. There is a discussion that he had with Dr. Kurt McGregor on Molinism, where he's being kind of honest in it, which I like. But at one point, this guy Elias, I think he's another Christian apologist. He said he started asking questions, and Matt got furious in the middle of him because he was trying to ask questions, and this other guy wanted to ask a question, and he kind of interrupted him. And Matt was like, "Hey, listen, if you don't let me ask the questions right now, I'm gonna leave." And everybody's like, "Geez, go ahead, ask the questions, whatever you want to do, boss." Like, it just seemed kind of disrespectful. But so I get what you mean. Um, TJ and Hugh Ross was a weird conversation. Hugh did most of the talking. That happens a lot with Tom because he likes to let the other person talk the most, and then he kind of sits back and goes, "Nope, that's wrong because of every research paper that's ever been written," and it stops right there. I think it's just his style, but um, let's see. It was at one time illegal to translate the Bible from Latin to our own such a Bible. While that may be true, Jerome was um, critical in the translation to Latin, um, and there are a lot of interesting things in biblical history. But as I mentioned to Brenda, I think it was in our discussion, even if we didn't have any manuscripts, we have over 1 million quotes from the early church fathers from the New Testament, so we could completely make over the New Testament without any manuscripts, just from their writings. And so that's what Bob Daryl Daniel Wallace said to Bart Ehrman, and he didn't disagree. So let's see. I'm just gonna go through a few more here. Let me know what you guys are thankful for. Bob, prejudice against atheists does exist in Western countries. A University of British Columbia study conducted in the United States found that believers distrusted atheists much as they did rapists. So, this is an interesting thing. They distrust atheists. I have heard this before. Um, so I think you're right about that because I have heard that before. But does distrust call for a bulletproof vest? That's what I'm wondering. That was my point. I think he was being a little hyperbolic about that, honestly. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think so. It also showed that atheists had lower employment prospects. Yeah, but again, woe is me, and why I say that isn't to be insensitive, but I say it like this. When Christians go into job, like if you go in for a job as a Christian and you're constantly talking about the Bible, like I watched Dragnot's stream the other day, and he was talking about this guy. Is it D-Roy? I think. I don't know the guy, but he wasn't have. He's basically he preaches to all his coworkers, and he's like, I guess he doesn't have a good relationship at work or whatever. And he's like, yes, because you're preaching to all your coworkers. It's like, I think at work, if you're telling everybody, yeah, I'm an atheist, and you know, that could be part of the problem. That you're, talking about being an atheist, and I understand you want to relate to your colleagues, but I think it works both ways on that. Um, Tony, that should give you the timeline. I'll check that link out for sure. Not in the U.S. It's a Christian nation. true, and in the U.S. it has been very hostile to non-believers in the not too distant past. That's true, partially, but also the Underground Railroad and other organizations like that were based out of Christian mercy. So I would say in these debates all the times it gets conflated. Like Christians did this, atheists did that. You know, the Khmer Rouge, Pol Pot, and others. And here's the thing: like, I just we shouldn't generalize because if you say Christianity's been done a lot of bad things, I'm gonna say yes. Don't follow Christianity, but follow Christ. Like that was my whole thing. It's like you can tell me all day that Christians have done things, and I'm like, what did Christ do? Like that's my thing. So I can agree with you on that. The United States is not a Christian nation. I think that may be true, unfortunately. In the United States, seven state constitution, including religious, says that will effectively prevent atheists from holding public office. I don't know about that because there's a lot of non-believers in public office, um, but it does seem that uh, it's preferred to be a Christian. Obviously, from Obama. I mean, I don't know how Christianly he is, but I know he sat in Jeremiah Wright's church for like 20 years. Um, Democracy is anti-biblical. I disagree with that. The reason why Aaron Ra tries to bring that up a lot. The reason why I disagree is because Christ said, he said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to God what is God's. So some people try to say, okay, so I think that may have been the first principle that got us to separation of church and state, because they tried to trap him in a question about paying taxes, and he was like, give to Caesar what's Caesar's, and give to God what's God's. So I think that was not only a great answer, but I think that may have been the precursor to separation of church and state. Especially if you live in the Bible Belt like me, people think I eat babies when I tell them I'm an agnostic. What do you use? Like, what seasonings do you use? Just kidding. And where do you live at? You don't have to dox yourself, Andrew, but what's your what state do you live in? Yes, Brenda. There is severe danger in fascist theocracy forming right now. Um, I don't really buy into that because it seems that everybody in our day and age, especially in the United States, has been they're more concerned about their desires and whatnot. So most people, I would say, are pretty libertarian. I mean, I am, for example. But people are a lot of times people in America seem to be hedonistic. Um, Christianity is anarchist, so yes, it's an anti-democracy. I don't see that. Catholicism. Catholicism was not the definition of Christianity for 1500 years. Um, Catholicism, you can't trace back the Catholic Church to Peter like they say you can. Um, if you look at some of the Pope's decisions, and then you look at um, early church, you're not going to have agreement. Um, how is it anarchist? Let's see. So I'm just going through some of these comments, and then I'm going to wrap this up. Do you guys have any debates that you really want to see? Is there anybody in particular that you guys like to see debate? Because I'll have I'll have some on my channel. Um, or is there a certain topic? Let's see. That is an odd definition. Matt Slick is very extreme fundamentalist. I would call him a Calvinist because he really isn't on we, and no Calvinist would accept him. maybe that's just be honest. He is a Calvinist. He admits that. Um, he's definitely reformed. He believes. I think he admitted that in the debate, but yeah, he says all the time that he is a Calvinist. He goes to a Reformed church. Religion is belief in God. You know what? I'm gonna actually have to disagree with you on that, Brenda. Um, I like the definition of religion that it's something like a belief system that's based on practices that will earn favor with the deity. So the reason why I say that is if you look at all religions, you find they have some type of practices to gain merit with the deity. So with Hinduism, you have karma. You do good works, you get good things done to you. With the five pillars of Islam, you have the Ten Commandments in Judaism, and on and on. There's some room to disagree with that because Christianity doesn't have any religious practices that you have to adhere to in order to gain salvation. But there are religious practices involved with it. Matt says a lot of things. Let's see. His organization espouse Calvinism, however. Yeah. Tony, didn't you say you lived in Mississippi? No, that's just imaginary. Yeah, I mean, I would see why you would say that. I really think you're really right, Brenda. You a pantheist? You sound like one. That just makes you presuppositionalist, an easily eroded position, I'm afraid. Yeah, I don't really buy into the presuppositionalist argument. I do sympathize with it some though, because if it's true, I don't think it's great as a apologetic method. But if it's true that God exists and that Christianity is true, then it follows that you have to assume all the things that they say in order to justify your worldview. But I don't think that it's a very good apologetic method. Happy Thanksgiving, Johnny Sandtrap. How you doing, buddy? Conversation. What am I thankful for? The list is too long to type here. There you go, brother. That's a great answer. Would you say that you're an advocate of unverifiable personal gnosis? Am I an advocate of unverifiable personal gnosis? I guess that depends on what you mean by that. Because if by unverifiable you mean, do you mean, okay, let me ask you, Tony, do you mean knowledge that isn't verifiable? Do I, and by an advocate for that, do you mean that I believe there is not, that you can have knowledge without verifying it? Answer me that, and I'll answer your question. I disagree. Christianity, no matter what flavor, has requirements for salvation. It doesn't, actually. Grace is a free gift of God. That's the whole point of Christianity. Is Paul rails against the Jews and says, if you're under the law, it'll do you no good. Christ has paid your fine, and you are saved through grace. So I disagree with that. Not for salvation, but as Caleb and Praise and I pointed out in the after show, they go hand in hand, grace and works. So if you truly are saved, you'll do the works. Yep, I'm Mississippi. Okay, an example would be Richard Madsen. He says he's a Christian with special knowledge unavailable to others. I don't know that person, honestly. So I might look into him, but then again, I might not, because I'll probably take a nap or something. My fiance is working tonight. She's a nurse and she has to work third shift tonight. So me and my son and the dog are gonna hang out and watch some TV and um, see what we can get into. But the guy that you mentioned, I don't know him, but he says that he has special knowledge, that he is a Christian with special knowledge unavailable to others. Well, I guess your experiences are unavailable to others. You know, if you were to have an experience, for example, that um, was real to you and was unverifiable, but nonetheless was something that was so real to you that you couldn't deny it, then yeah, that's unverifiable. Now, you could look at that and say, well, hold on a second. How does that make sense? That's just your personal feelings. But you know, I think sometimes um, religious experiences aren't so much a feeling. I like to explain them like a realization. What I mean by that is, if you have you ever been late and you wake up and you look at your alarm clock and you're supposed to have been up at like eight o'clock and it says 8:15, and you wake up and you look at it and then you go, and then it hits you, wait a second, that's at 8:15, and now all of a sudden you're like up and like running and throwing on stuff at the fastest speed you ever had. You had zero energy the moment before that, but when something registered in your mind and you realized, instantly all this energy just poof hits you. And I think it's similar to that. It's not a feeling, it's more of a realization. Like when something numinous happens to you. I think that's a way I would explain it. Um, he can't prove this unverifiable, but believes his interpretation of the Bible is more valid than any other sect of Christianity. Yeah, see, that's the thing with people's. The Bible actually says Scripture is of no private interpretation. That's what it says. And the whole point of studying hermeneutics is that a, a, a hermeneutic principle is a principle in which you can take and apply it to one part of the Bible. And when you get to every other part, you can still apply that principle. So sometimes people will apply a reformed belief to certain parts, and they'll move on, and they'll look at it in a different way, and then their whole framework is thrown off. Their whole model of coherence is thrown off because of that. So let's see, Converse contender, will you be saved if you don't believe? So if by believe you mean have faith, no, and here's why. But I don't want that to be like you're doing something, because it's still something that God's doing. You see, in order to have faith and believe, you must repent. Okay, and repentance, it says in the Bible that may God grant you repentance. So faith is a gift from God. And there's a lot to that. It would take an entire Bible study to go through that. But yes, Jordan Night Shift. Richard Madsen's channel. Yes, I may check this guy out. Um, I don't know if I would like him. It depends on how um, rudimentary he is, I guess. That might be the term. I don't like the term fundamentalist for people who are literalistic. So, Dr. John Lennox, I read a book that he had called 7 Days That Changed the Earth, where he talks about Genesis. And that's a good book to read if you guys haven't read it. A lot of people say John Lennox is an idiot, like non believers. The guy's got 3 PhDs. I mean, let's just be honest. He's not an idiot. He's an Oxford professor, mathematician. He's not an idiot. But in it, he says, listen, do we take the Bible literally? Yes. But there's a difference in literally and literalistically. So literally and literalistic. Literally means you take what it says, like Jesus is the door. Literally means like he's a doorway, right? He's a door to something. But literalistically means that he's an actual door. And so when people see, like, for example, that God created everything in 7 days, they take that and they say, well, it's 7 literal days. And it's like, well, hold on a second. It says that he rested on the seventh day, right? But also the term day, yom in Hebrew, can mean many things. Like, for example, we say back in my day, we're not talking about a 24-hour period. We're talking about a period of time back a while back, right? It's the same way. And now you may say, well, wait a second, you guys are just doing that based on current science. But it's just not true. And here's why. Augustine, as far back as the 4th century, 300s, I believe, he said, how can it be 24-hour literal periods if the sun wasn't made until the 4th day? So, and he may be wrong about that, but at least it shows that people were thinking about this before any scientific progress was made. No, he's just the opposite of a fundamentalist. Richard is. Okay, well, he doesn't sound. I don't know. He doesn't sound like someone I'm gonna uh, take his advice, but I guess we'll see. And you know, I'm gonna probably end the stream with that, but I want to end with talking about the drama that's been going on. I don't know if you guys just tuned in to all the drama that was going on with Steve and Katie and that whole section. But you know, I would like to be a liaison, a go-between, a common ground for these people to clarify and adjudicate this whole situation. Now I know a lot of people are going to be trying to drag this thing out. Okay, I don't think it's a good idea, first of all. But second of all, it need not go to court. And this doesn't even need to be a thing. If we if I could get her email, I know Steve, and I'm in communication with Steve constantly. And if I could get her email or some way to contact her, I'd like to contact her, and I would like to moderate a. I'd like to have some resolve from the situation because honestly, I just don't think it's worth them fighting over. And as I've told some other people before, you know, there's a place in Israel. I watched it on a documentary where there's a Christian temple, right, where they have given key, the key holder that opens and closes the temple every day is a Muslim because it's a Christian temple in a Jewish land, and they use this Muslim guy as a liaison um, to keep the temple and keep the peace. So if they could both see that I'm coming at this from an unbiased perspective, and just as a Christian, I want to adjudicate this matter and try to help both sides and the whole community at large, and they were willing to sit down with me and let me moderate a conversation between them, I think we could come to some agreement on a lot of things and fix some of this. I don't know if they would be willing to do it though. But if there's anything you guys want to um, can do to help me with that, I'd like to do it. I've been told that it's a fruitless venture. Don't worry about doing it. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Have a great Thanksgiving. I'm sure you guys are eating turkey. For the people who don't have family and people to eat with, appreciate you guys being here. And you know, I hope that you guys have a great holiday season anyway, and find something to distract yourself. Studying and debating and having discussions, conversations. I've just always been a person that likes to do stuff like that. Yeah, that's why I picked up guitar and skateboarding and all the things that I picked up over the years is because I don't know, I'm drawn to hobbies. Like sometimes I want to draw and paint and do all these different things, and it's just to, um, I don't know, it's like a distraction. I don't know, I've just always been interested. So if you're having a hard time right now, you know, you have to come up with something to fill the voids in your life. Because there's a lot of older people will say, Satan only comes around when you're bored, So, or that he mostly comes around when you're bored. So, anyway, appreciate you guys watching this, and have a happy Thanksgiving and eat plenty of turkey. Have a good one.